Hello, YouTube. Can you guys hear me? Yes, you can. It's your boy GZTV back with another video, and in this video, we are going to be talking about the Season 3 opener for Black Mirror. It has been a while since we have watched an episode of Black Mirror on the channel, but here we are with Nosedive. I think pretty much like every Friday we'll probably review a Black Mirror episode, unless someone drops like an album. I think next week Tizo Touchdown will be dropping an album, so I'll probably be dropping an edited reaction to that. Some news, fantasy draft tonight at 8 o'clock my time. It is 1:54 here, so in a little over 6 hours, I'm going to be going live. We're going to be doing my fantasy draft on stream, and I'm probably going to be doing a bunch of games. It's going to be a big night for games. It's going to be a big weekend for games overall, because I don't have to go back to school till Tuesday. I've been off since like yesterday afternoon. But yeah, this is some of my first videos on the PC as well. I kind of did a PC stream last night, kind of setting everything up, but here we go. So, this episode, society has embraced a technology wherein everyone shares their daily activities through eye implants and mobile devices, where one rates their interactions with others on a scale from 1 to 5 stars, cumulatively affecting everyone's socioeconomic status. So, just imagine a society where everything is just based on ratings and, like, how people view you. Like, you can only get a certain house, or you can only get a certain vacation. You can probably only get married to a certain extent if you have a certain rating. Sorry, this is for 4 stars only, or this is for high 4s only. Just think of a society like with a 5-star system. Black Mirror always conceptualizes some crazy shit, and they seem to surprise me every time. So that's kind of what this story is setting up as. So Lacey Pound, who's played by Bryce Dallas Howard, seeks to raise her 4.2 rating to 4.5 for a discount on a luxury apartment. However, despite her attempts to be outgoing and pleasant, her rating has plateaued, pretty much flattened out. She's not getting any good ratings, nothing exceptional from any exceptional people. And she's trying a little too hard to, be this, like, not famous, but, like, high-class person. She's trying too hard to be, like, admired, That's kind of how it is. Lacey talks to a consultant who suggests gaining favor from very highly rated people. Lacey uploads a photograph of Mr. Rags, a ragdoll that she and her childhood friend Naomi, who is played by Alice Eve, made together. And I could have sworn that, I don't know, some of these actresses looked like they were super A-list. Someone said, like, someone big was in this episode or something. Maybe I missed it. I'm not really sure. So they made this, like, doll together, and Naomi is, like, a 4.8. She's super high class. She's super, like, up there with the elites of the community. And, yeah. Naomi rates the photo 5 stars. She's 4.8, and calls Lacey to announce her engagement, inviting Lacey to deliver a wedding speech as the maid of honor. Apparently that picture kind of sprouted some things from their childhood, and she wants her to, like, be her maid of honor, give a speech during the wedding. And obviously you see in the picture up here, it didn't quite go well. You can kind of see closely. We will get through her journey. I mean, this was a very adventurous episode, one of the more adventurous episodes of the entire series. Lacey agrees and commits on the apartment, anticipating many high ratings from the guests. If she can give out a good speech, if she can get high ratings, I mean, surely very quickly with all the high 4s in attendance, she can get to a 4.5. Which, if you're watching the episode and you're, like, looking at their interactions, to get 0.3 stars from one event in itself is super, like, hard to attain. So she's really shooting for the stars here. She feels really confident in herself, which is great, but obviously it can't be a smooth route. Things go south here. So on the day of her flight, several mishaps caused people to rate Lacey negatively, dropping her rating below a 4.2. She pretty much goes from, like, a 4.2 to, like, a 3.8, down to a 2.6, down to, like, a freaking 1.9 by the time she gets to the wedding. So a bunch of things kind of, like, compound together. She gets super unlucky on that day. People are rating her negatively, and yeah. So at the airport, her flight is canceled, and she cannot buy a seat on an alternate flight with her current rating. Back-talking the employees, everyone, like, witnessing that and giving her shitty ratings. And it's a very, like, strict society. It's a very strange one, too, that this show kind of paints for us. Like, if you use profanity, apparently your rating goes down. Obviously, like, in general, people don't like profanity, but I don't know. It's kind of weird. It seems like a very NPC society to live in. But hey, we're kind of getting to that point anyway. When Lacey causes a scene, security penalizes her by putting her on double damage and subtracting a full point for 24 hours. So now she goes from like a 3.8 to like a 2.8, and the people downgrade her, it does double damage, and she drops 0.2. So, yeah. Because of her low rating, Lacey can only rent an older car to drive to the wedding, which she cannot recharge when it runs out of power because it's like a super old car. It doesn't have like the adapter. It's kind of funny. That's kind of like a funny little reference to like the Apple devices, like when they transition from a headphone jack. I feel like this episode was made around this time when they took the headphone jack out of the phone and just made it like, which obviously not a lot of people even use wired connection anymore with AirPods and stuff. Obviously even Samsung has like the Galaxy Pods. So that's kind of a little funny thing. There's a lot of satire in the show, and if you can watch it, pay attention, and kind of catch some things, it's actually quite hilarious, you know. She's forced to hitchhike with Susan, played by Cherry Jones, a truck driver with a rating of 1.4. Obviously not a very highly rated member of society. She's a truck driver. I mean, she's pretty down there, you know what I mean? Susan tells Lacey that she used to care about her rating until her late husband was passed over for vital cancer treatment because their scores were deemed not high enough, even though they were like in the fours. Like, the society again is super strict, and you have to have certain status. You have to be damn near perfect in the society to make it. Susan says she is much freer without obsessing over ratings, and that pretty much just signifies, you know, being yourself. Obviously that's like a pretty popular thing to say, you know, be yourself, but yeah. So, while Lacey is en route to the wedding, Naomi tells her to not come, as her severely reduced rating will negatively impact Naomi's own ratings, obviously being selfish and being a fucking spoiled brat. These are super stuck-up people, and overall, as a society, this is a super stuck-up society. Enraged, Lacey reaches the wedding and sneaks in during the reception. She's like, nah, I'm fucking done with this. Like, I'm gonna cause a scene here. You know? She grabs the microphone and starts giving the speech she had written, but insults Naomi with references to childhood conflict, finally grabbing a knife and threatening to behead Mr. Rags. And, you know, she has a brother in this episode, which I don't really mention, but her brother kind of tells her, like, all the shitty, like, reminds her of all the shitty things that Naomi did, and that could have possibly been foreshadowing, because she uses a lot of what he said to pretty much use it against Naomi and talk shit on her, which obviously doesn't do anything, because everyone knows that she's a highly elite person, like in this society. She's too high to really get affected by something like this. I mean, the guests do kind of start to rate her negatively after hearing this, but I guess they do. I mean, her rating drops pretty... Well, Lacey gets shit on, pretty much. Not Naomi. Sorry, I got them mixed up. The guests rate Lacey negatively, causing her rating to drop below 1 star. She's even worse than that truck driver. Lacey is imprisoned with her eye implants removed, so she can't rate other people. She can't make social interactions. That's pretty much what that means. She and the man in the cell opposite of hers, the man's played by Sope Derizu, I think, realize they can now speak without worrying about being rated and gleefully hurl insults at one another. It's like this don't give a fuck attitude that they're allowed to have, and it's such a beautiful moment, you know, to close this episode. I think this was overall pretty strong Black Mirror episode, but yeah. They actually made a board game based on this episode because it was so popular, and it was parodied in a lot of ways, so really good on them. We can talk about it here. I mean, behind her pink and perky facade, Lacey becomes obsessed with social media status and Nosedive, an episode that demonstrates the dangers of society's need for approval, but does so with a perfect dose of humor. This was honestly like a really, really good episode. A lot of people gave it positive ratings. The episode lives up to the show's reputation. The episode feels fresh despite covering technology similarly to prior episodes. It still adds like this fresh concept. It expresses the show's guiding theme with lucid clarity. The episode tackles society's social media obsession. Its thought-provoking nature makes it a good choice for the season premiere. What a way to open up season 3, right? The episode is both fun and frustrating, which contrasts with the grounded and grim episodes to follow, apparently. That's what people are kind of saying about this season. It's a tad too simplistic, though. It's totally engaging at the same time. The it sets the premise crisply, then spends far too much time laboring the point. That is true. It probably shouldn't have been an hour long, but that's really some of the only negatives. The episode's predictability and repetitiveness, true. The ending was all right. I mean, the episode is woefully surface level and a bit off brand because of its predictability, but I don't know. The episode lacks a disturbing tone, though this makes it more accessible. The first half of Nosedive is too predictable, but the second half adds depth and sincerity. Sincerity, really. You knew, like, watching this that something bad was going to happen to this girl. Like, it just had to happen. The episode can be strident and obvious, but it understands human nature very well. The episode was a little too long. The ending was a little too positive. But at the same time, it was still a pretty good ending because though it is bleak in some ways, it is also a moment of sheer fist-pumping joy. The ending is simultaneously cathartic and on the nose. I mean, the script was pretty good. The comedic undertones were great. The episode is an exaggerated morality play about the dangers of conformity and the small pleasures of individuality. The script is bitingly hilarious, funny, uplifting, moving, and supremely unsettling. The script avoided exposition, which was great. The plot and characters don't quite live up to their potential, but the script kind of helps with that. The episode lacks the sadistic snap of Brooker's usual work. Obviously, the soundtrack was pretty cool as well. The episode's visual style, the directing was amazing. The setting for the episode was pretty good as well. Stellar production values were great. The juxtaposition of calm visuals with narrative tension. The aesthetics mark a difference between the characters with high and low ratings. The visual style keeps everything focused on the characters, which is different to Joe Wright's typical style, I guess. Episode's large budget is apparent in the visuals of the episode. It is detailed enough to be revisited quite a few times. Howard's performance was awesome as Lacey. It's delightfully unhinged. Howard conveys Lacey's inner frustration while grinning cheerfully through it. Howard's acting ensures viewers are on Lacey's side. Eve's acting was excellent too, as Naomi. The musical composition for the episode was great. You kind of blended the diegetic sounds of the app with the non-diegetic score evoking our protagonist's struggle to determine reality and fiction, an element which was amazing. The score is very compelling. It's elegantly elegiac. This episode kind of has like similarities between the segregation that South Americans suffered under credit score systems, which is something that a critic kind of drew connections with. I thought that was kind of interesting. I think this is a pretty good episode. It's pretty strong in Black Mirror, which is why this video is going to be like 14 minutes long, because there's a lot of good things to say about this episode, and it's a really good way to open up season 3. Can I say it's the best of the entire series? Maybe it's a little too early, but yeah. Anyways, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Instead of doing the Superstar Mode series, I'm probably going to end that with like actually doing gameplay of the showdown thing. Probably play a couple games of that, edit it for you guys tomorrow. We're going to start Ozark today. We're going to start that show because my dad has praised it a lot. It's actually kind of like, it takes place like in the Ozarks, which is like 3 hours from where I live. It's in Osage Beach, that's really cool. Fantasy draft tonight, and